So I was watching this interview the other day, and it was about it was this woman who's a feminist, and she was basically, they were discussing whether men can be part of the solution when it comes to violence towards women. And at first, I thought, well, what could men possibly do? But then I started thinking about it a little bit more. And I've come to this realization that violence towards women in many ways is a cultural phenomenon. And if it's a cultural phenomenon, it can be addressed. And the reason that I arrived at this is because, well, actually I was walking home and I was walking through Budapest. And I've been to Budapest before and I've spent some time there. And I have to say, I've never had to worry about walking home. I've never had men make inappropriate comments, nothing like that. No moves, nothing. Whereas I've experienced that quite a bit, especially in North America. And all women, I think, know this, is one thing that we do very well is we try to de-escalate the situation. We try to avoid the situation. Our situational awareness is incredibly high. If I'm walking alone at night, I'm preparing in my mind for an attack. Now, I fortunately haven't been attacked, but I've had some very bad run-ins in the past, so including an attempted kidnapping. So, this stuff. You can't do something about necessarily people who are just, crazy and evil and, psychotic, but you certainly can do about creating better social circumstances where it becomes socially unacceptable to sort of, to harass women. And the reason that I see there's a cultural difference, so in Hungary, or at least in Budapest, I haven't been to the rest of Hungary, so I can't speak to it. But in Budapest, you're never going to get somebody catcalling you, approaching you, none of that. Or, at least hasn't happened to me, and I just don't think it happens very often. I'm sure it happens. But then if you go to India, you have a culture that where men will just touch women. In Egypt, they'll touch women's hair. The cases of assaults that are so high, the punishment is so low. And in so many other cultures, that's the case. So to say that it's just something that comes down to, some men being bad and doing bad things doesn't seem so accurate. Because if that was the case, then we have a consistent pattern of behavior across all cultures, but we don't. And I think few things play a role. Culture, so if it's socially unacceptable, people are far less likely to do it. And the other part of it is also how, the legal side of it. So if cases are taken seriously, if cases are reported, then you're going to be less, you see a lot less people doing these things. So that can have an impact on behavior. So when people just focus on the solution being, oh my gosh, take some self-defense classes and become a black belt in something, that isn't necessarily what's going to have the greatest impact. That's great. If I can fight off people like a ninja, man, that would be cool. But, I'm not that good, very non-athletic. And when I've tried to learn these things, I've accepted that I'm never going to be good. Doesn't mean I shouldn't try, but I'll never be good. But the social factors play such a tremendous role, and we shouldn't ignore them.